Hi guys, it's Terry, and we're back at you with another deck profile. This time it's going to be Sacred Beast. The structure deck came out like a few weeks ago, and I've been playing around with it for a while, and I've got this build that I think is pretty interesting and be great to show you, so we'll get right into it. Right, so we'll start off with the main deck just to the side. So starting off with the Beast, we play one Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder, one Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, one Raviel, Lord of Phantasms, and the new retrain of Raviel, the Shimmering Scraper. These trees are fairly standard. You have to play at least one of each of them, in my opinion, mainly for the armor tile. Hamon's probably the best one you want to get out, followed by Rabiel, and Uriah has niche usage. And the Shimmering Scraper is pretty cool. So he can be summoned by tributing any 3 monsters, which is different than the original Rabiel, which has to be 3 fiends. But its main effect you want to use it for is that you can discard it, target a Raviel you control. Its attack becomes doubled, and it can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, so it's just a nice way to OTK. And if it's in your graveyard, you contribute a monster to add it back to hand, so there's nice ways to sort of get it back.
Is there anything you don't like about the card?
The fact that it's not counted as Raviel, which would make it a lot better, but then I guess the reason they did that was then why would you then play the original Raviel?
Yeah, because you could just play that, and then you could play 2 of that. And,
yeah. But those are the beasts.
I mean, they could change it so its original name is Raviel to get the boost.
Yeah, but then moving on to the newer stuff, well, apart from that, so we have 3 Dark Beckoning Beast. This is your best starter. So when it's normal summoned, you can add 1 Uriah, Hamon, Raviel, or a card that lists those names in the card text. So it's a pretty decent searcher that basically gets you all the Sacred Beast support cards in your deck. It also grants additional normal summon of a 0/0 fiend, which is really good considering the little guys are all 0/0 fiends. You generally want to at all times see this. I actually wish I could play more of it, but definitely you need to max out on it 3. Moving on, I play 2 of the Chaos Summoning Beast. So Chaos Summoning Beast is pretty cool. You can tribute it to special summon Hamon, Raviel, or Uriah from your hand. Which is quite nice. It's just a way to cheese them out, ignoring their summoning conditions, and then you can banish it from your graveyard to add Fallen Paradise, the field spell of the deck, which is pretty nice. I only play 2 because realistically, you're only really going to resolve it like once, maybe one, and I feel any more is a bit bricky. Then the same before we played the Dark Summoning Beast. So similar, it's sort of similar to the Chaos Summoning Beast, except from it special summons them from the hand or deck. But since it's a tribute summon, it's a bit more awkward, except in combination with like the Dark Beckoning Beast, where you can like tribute it for the additional normal summon for it, or this spell we'll move on to. And also you can banish it to add Uriah, Hamon, or Raviel from your deck. Again, I played 2 because I feel you're only ever going to really resolve it once, and you probably resolve both of its effects in the same turn. Also, as a little side note, its effect to banish to add Raviel, Uriah, or Hamon isn't once per turn, so there's that's pretty cool if you draw multiples and you can get them out for, like, say, armor tile. But that's it for those sort of beast monsters. So after that, you need to try to fill out the deck with sort of engines. So at the moment, I've been trying to play sort of the Nemesis engine, which consists of 2 Flag, Umbrella, and Shatos. Searches these 2, adds any of these 2 back, and then this is just a sort of blanket floodgate to destroy a monster on field, and neither you or your opponent can summon that type for until the end of the next turn. So it's pretty cool, and you can get it out fairly consistently. Then for the other engine I play is a small DD package of 2 Kepler, 1 Orthros, and 1 Lamia. Kepler's in because it's a 0/0 fiend, so it has additional synergy with the deck, and it gets you to your Dark Contract with the Gate, which is a continuous spell, which is useful for Hamon and other reasons. Orthros because it's basically a back row pop, which you can use, and Lamia is just a free body you can get off from the search of the Dark Contract. For just the sort of I feel the Cyframe package, 3 Gamma and Driver, is the best one because it's the most impactful like hand trap pretty much in this format. And you have a lot of moments where you'll be using things where you won't have monsters on board, such as the sort of opening spirit gates, which we'll get on to, 1 for 1, gate, just a lot of cool things. And then for the last two things, we play one Exodius, the Ultimate Forbidden Lord, because it just recycles all the things in your graveyard, which is really nice. It's a level 10 monster, which is useful for the spells and the traps in the deck. And its battle effect, which is if it declares an attack, you can send a monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. It has come up, and it's just nice to be a foolish. And then we play the Destruction Sword because we're playing the Using Carrier. That's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, our second best card in the deck, being Opening of the Spirit Gates. This is the card you're primarily going to search off of your Dark Beckoning Beast. So once activated, it can add a monster that lists Uriah, Hamon, Raviel, and his text, or those monsters, which is pretty good. You can also discard a card to special summon a 0/0 fiend from your graveyard, and if you control a level 10 monster, you can add a continuous spell back from your graveyard. So this is again really nice. It's really good support for the deck. And while you can only activate one of these cards per turn, none of its effects are they're all soft. So if you get multiple of these aboard, it's pretty good for getting your resources back and getting engine going. We play one of the Dimension Fusion Destruction. It's just the sort of new way to get an armor tile. You can banish from your hand, field, or graveyard like monsters used to summon a Phantasm fusion monster, and then basically you take no battle damage from like attacks involving that monster. So it's pretty cool. And if you control one of the Sacred Beast dudes, your opponent can't respond to its activation. It's basically your win con in trying to cheese out a 10k armor tile. And we played two of the Cerulean Skyfire, another new spell. This is what makes Hamon useful, essentially. Special summon Hamon, instead of having to use continuous spells, you can use face down spells, so that makes it a little less bricky and getting rid of some dead cards. If you have a control and attack position Hamon, you can switch to defense and negate a spell or trap effect your opponent activates. And if any of the Sacred Beast leaves the field, you take no battle damage for the rest of the turn. Which I always forget that effect because it seemingly doesn't come up that often, but it's pretty nice.
A very important thing to note: the negation isn't an activated effect.
Yes, that's true. So it's you can play around things like Super Poly and if they did it and things like that. And then we play one of the Fallen Paradise, which is just basically control the Sacred Beast, draw 2 cards, and it protects them from being targeted by card effects and destroyed by card effects. You only play one because I don't really think it's not really necessary. It's just nice to get 2 cards each turn, and if you lose it, there are ways to get it back. And then we just play Foolish Burial Goods to send continuous spells, 2 Allures because we play Darks, Foolish to send monsters, 1 Pauper Up because getting rid of dead cards, and the Dark Contract for the DD package, and 1 for 1 because you play level 1s. And the only trap we play is 2 of the Awakening of this Sacred Beast. If you basically get this, and well, if you get all of its effect offs, you basically should win the duel, pretty much. But it gets different effects based on the number of Sacred Beasts with different names. So if you control if you control 1, anytime your opponent normals or special summons a monster, you gain life points equal to its attack. If you control 2 of them, it basically is like a skill drain, negates the effects of all activated effects of the monster your opponent controls. And if
so it's just your opponent as well, so it's one-sided.
And then 3 is any monster your opponent's the center your opponent's graveyard is banished, so it's a one-sided macro. You can probably get off the 2 effect pretty easily. I have done the 3 once, but that was overkill. And even if you only get 1 Sacred Beast, it's nice to sort of gain life points in terms of time and things like that. And that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, we play the Armor Tile. It's a 10k beat stick. This is how you're hopefully going to close out some of your games if you really need to.
Can't be destroyed.
It can't be destroyed by battle, and if you summon it using Dimension Fusion Destruction, you also take no battle damage from it, so it's pretty nice.
It's also protected by the
it's also protected by Fallen Paradise. For Synchros, we play 1 Herald and 1 Omega. Omega is mainly there because you play the Cyframes, and it's just nice to recycle some of your banished cards. And Herald you can make with things like the Dark Beckoning Beast and Kepler. You can do plays along that side and get out level 4. It's just nice to have a bit more negation. And for the one exceed we play is Super Dreadnought Relic and Gustav Max because you play level 10 monsters and burning your opponent for 2k is pretty much good.
No lead?
It's part. It was just a. I mean, I know we have one somewhere, but I couldn't find it. And to be honest, like
I've got it in my Sacred Beast. There we
go. But also like, the Sacred Beasts themselves are like 4k bodies. Like you're probably doing this. You're probably attacking with 2 beasts, and if that's not enough, this is to close out the game, kind of thing. Otherwise, you don't use this unless you absolutely certain you have game if you use it, kind of. So we play a Link Cross. We don't play like the needle fiber and stuff. I've toyed around with it, but everyone gets bored of that. It's just nice to get out 2 tokens because the other Raviel can at least be tribute summoned using anything, so you can basically get just requirements from that. Also, it's just nice for like helping you make the Union Carrier with like it and Link Karibo to do other plays. Speaking of which, we have the Link Karibo, we have the Relinquish Anima because we play level 1s, and the Almirage, which is mainly here to get any of your 0/0 guys into your grave because they all have 1,000 loss attack, obviously.
Yeah, so you've got the Chaos Summoning Beast, which you can use Link Karibo for, obviously. But the Dark Beckoning
Beast is level 2, so you have to use Almirage. And you mainly use it if you wanted to say, if you opened the Dark Beckoning Beast and say the Dark Summoning Beast, and you had the opening of Spirit Gates, and you wanted to get the Dark Beckoning, you can sort of do stuff like make the Dark Beckoning Beast, sorry about this, with this, discard the Dark Summoning Beast, and then bring out the Dark Summoning Beast because you already had a 0/0 Fiend, so just niche for that. And I guess this protection effect for to stop things being destroyed by card effects comes up every now and again. For Link 2, we play Barricade Borg, which is pretty nice because it protects your face-up spells, so it protects your Paradise and your Skyfire opening, and it gets you back a field spell or a continuous spell from your graveyard during the end phase, which is always pretty nice. Phoenix, because back row. Rhinocon, to send the Dimension Fusion Destruction. Lambda, because you're playing the Cyframe package, and it's pretty nice. Rupert is here mainly to sort of change attributes for the Ashatos. Union Carrier, just because the Destruction Sword, and also just doing things like you can target any of your Beckoning Beast or a Dark Monster to get out any of the Beast or the Raviel to your back row, link off of it, add stuff back, and you just get advantage from there. And the last card we play is Nightmare Unicorn.
Do you just want to mention the Reprodocus with the Ashatos, what you can do with it?
Oh yeah, so typically it's like the Ashatos thing is always pretty cool because if you summon that Reprodocus, and this is obviously a bit better like going at game 2 or game 3 because you know what your opponent's playing, but if you summon the Reprodocus, you can summon the Ashatos underneath it. You can use because Ashatos has to declare a monster type that's on field. Use Reprodocus to change it to whatever you like, and then you use Ashatos as effect. Because Ashatos can't be destroyed by card effects, it won't destroy itself. However, because of the conjunction being also, it doesn't matter. Neither of you can then summon the type that Ashatos becomes, which is always pretty nice. And it's just a nice thing to have. Like sometimes you don't open optimally in this deck, but if you can get to this, you at least buy yourself a turn or 2. And yeah, guys, so that's the Sacred Beast profile. It's not like necessarily a very pure variant, but like I enjoy this one because it has a bit more of a competitive edge, and like I like having so many different engines and so many things you can try. So I think some of the honorable mentions we had were like, so you can play things like Magician's Souls because you can dump like an Exodius, which is the 10. You can get rid of like some of your dead like Spirit Gates or Cerulean Skyfires, and then you can like to get more advantage that way.
Which you can always add back
with the gate, so that's pretty nice resource management in that sense. There's part of Extravagance / Desires, more draw power. I'd probably go for Desires more than Extrav, well, partly because of budget reasons, but also that the Extrav can conflict with Fallen Paradise, at least in your turn you activate it, so it's so that way. There's been a bit of a Fluffle engine which I played, which was like 2 toy vendors, a bear, and a wings, because you can send the toy vendor. If you opening the Spirit Gates and have a Sacred Beast and like that, you can discard the toy vendor, get the bear, send the bear, get another toy vendor set, use the gate to add back the toy vendor, and if you can discard the vendor off of the other vendor, getting the wings, and if you're not normal someone to use or have another way to get into graveyard, you can get the wings, link rerow, and get draws that way. And because it's all recyclable, especially with things like Exodius and the Nemesis package, you can always get those kind of things going off. And then for the pure memes, you could play something like the Fossil Engine, because why not? So it's just because there's the 1.5 card combo with like the Dark Beckoning Beast to go for Curious. Curious can send Weathering Soldier. Weathering Soldier gets you the Fossil Fusion. And then you'll have like, you can get like summon like the little guys, or if you mill the Sacred Beast, you can summon things like Fossil, like the Skull King and things like that. It's bad, but you can do it. But overall, I've enjoyed it. It's been quite fun. It's just like drawing 2 cards every turn, summoning big beat sticky boys. It's been really good, and I do recommend you try it. And if you've tried any other things, or like, leave them down below in the comment section and like to address them. So thanks guys, and we'll come at you with another video pretty soon. Shh, not a zombie channel.